Welcome everybody, I'm Kalani and this is World Drum Club, and in this lesson I'm going to be showing you how to play and hold several percussion instruments. A couple hand drums, congas and djembe. We are also going to learn how to hold and play a few metal instruments like cowbells, woodblock, wood instruments, a couple scrapers, and some different kinds of shakers and rattles. And I'm going to show you not only how to hold and play them and how to make it easy for you and your students to hold and play them, but also how to not hold and play them so that you keep your playing efficient, musical, and safe for the instruments and your students. So if that sounds like something you're interested in, keep watching. Let's get started with the conga drum. The conga drum is a barrel-shaped drum. It's made of staves of wood that have been steamed and bent and glued together and then put on a lathe. Amazing instrument. It uses hardware. Let me show you the side view. I'll be right here. So the conga drum uses this, we call this conga style tuning. It's got metal holding down a metal hoop and etc. And you turn it with a wrench. I have videos on how to tune congas. You can watch those on the channel. Right now we're going to learn a couple basic techniques, and these techniques I'm going to show you right now are not exhaustive of the instrument. It's just a couple basic techniques to get you started. First of all, I want to point out that I've got this drum flat on the floor right now. I'm on a wood floor, and the open tone sounds pretty good. I can do a slap, and but when I do the bass tone, I get practically nothing because I've got the bottom of the drum blocked off. So what you want to do to hold the conga drum is you get yourself comfortable, and I want you to note my positioning here, like how high the drum is, right? So my arms are essentially almost level with the drum right here. All right, then you're going to tip it. You can tip it forward, and I'm going to tip it slightly to my right side because I'm playing right-handed. And so this would be typical. This would be a typical playing position. I've got it between my legs. I'm holding on to it. You know, I've just got it here. And so now when I play the bass, and I don't know how well you can hear that, but there is a bass tone there as opposed to flat on the floor. Nothing. All right. So that's the first thing you want to do is either get your drum up on a stand, a short stand, a tall stand, standing stand, or tip it to the side. All right. From there, and I'm going to have to switch my mic over in a second, we're going to use the open tone. And the open tone is, as opposed to the bass tone. The bass tone, you just have your hand inside the drum. Let's talk about that for a second because it's important. Some people teach playing the bass tone. They say, strike your palm in the middle of the drum. Actually, that's not ideal. So don't strike the drum in the middle. Why? Because the middle is a node or a dead spot. The head of a drum, any drum like this, will vibrate around the center, not in the center. So the center is not a great place to get resonance out of the drum. What you want to do is strike the drum just off center. You can think of kind of a donut shape in here and just strike it there. And that applies for all these kinds of drums, whether it's a djembe or a tube drum or some other kind of drum. All right, so that's the bass tone. Hand is flat, relaxed. You're going to move back out until your palm comes off the drum. For the open tone, fingers are together and flat right here, and you're going to strike with your forearm and maybe a little bit of wrist action, but not exclusively your wrist, all right? So it's not like this. It's more, a little more arm involved, all right? So just gentle, flat fingers, all right? That's pretty much it. I'm going to switch mics and play the open tone for you right now. Here's bass. And open. Okay, so hopefully that will give you a great start on holding, setting up yourself and the drum, and then arranging the drum for maximum resonance, you know, tipping it to the side, slightly forward for the bass tone. And then how to make nice, resonant, clear tones. And the thing with all of these drums, I'm going to switch over to djembe right now. The things with all of these drums is that you want to have clear tones. There's only 3 or 4 tones played on most of these drums. So it's important that you work on your technique so that when you're playing a bass tone, it sounds like a bass tone, and an open tone is an open, and a slap is a slap. On the djembe, those are the 3 tones. We don't really do any other tones traditionally besides those 3 tones. So it's really important because those are literally the syllables with which we build the words, you know, the rhythms, the phrases of the instrument. So that's where the focus is, as opposed to some other instruments where the tones are always all kind of the same, like a recorder or piano or an Orff instrument. The tones are the same, but the pitches are different. So in this case, you've got, well, I wouldn't even say one basic pitch. You've got different pitches because you're using different techniques. But the techniques to strike the drum are important. It's not just hitting the drum, it's playing tones on the drum and then using those tones to build specific rhythm patterns. And that's really the vocabulary of this particular type of instrument. All right, let's move on with djembe. And I'm kind of cheating here a little bit because I've got the djembe on a stand. Let me show you what I'm using. I'm actually using a guitar stand like this. And I learned this trick from somebody, I forgot who, but this is basically a guitar stand, small collapsible guitar stand, and I've got the drum sitting on it. Let me show you the overhead. All right, so my stand is down there, and I'm going to just place the foot over the 2 little cradle pieces, and now I've got the djembe tipping away from me a little bit, right? So if you've got the drum flat on the floor, which you can have in a seated position, just tip it away a little. What I like about putting it on a small stand is that I don't have to worry about the drum, you know, falling forward or sliding around. It's just here, and it's pretty stable. Djembe, we're going to do the same 2 tones we did on the conga, essentially. So the bass tone is not in the center, not here. It's here, just with your hand flat and just inside the drum, inside the edge of the drum. And that's it, pretty simple. We're going to do the same thing as we did with the conga. We're going to pull our thumb back, our hand back. Our thumb can be out to the side. If you do have your thumb parallel or close to parallel with your fingers, just make sure it's not hitting the edge. Sometimes we have an issue where you're hitting the side of your thumb on the edge of the drum. That could be uncomfortable. So maybe hold your thumb out. Some people recommend making a triangle like this with your fingers. But you don't want to have tension there either, so don't flex your hand a lot, right? It's not about having tension in your hand, just stay relaxed. But generally speaking, you'll see djembe players with their thumbs out. So then the open tone is kind of like we did for the congas. It's here. And let me show you the side because that's probably more valuable in this case. So flat fingers from tip to elbow, and moving from the elbow primarily. And we're going to really come off the drum when we play djembe. I'm going to play some open tones and bass tones right now for you. All right, so that's another tone, the slap tone. We're not doing that right now, but that's the 3rd tone, would be the slap tone. The slap is more of a harmonic of the head. It requires relaxing the hand and striking it in a little bit different way. If you'd like to learn more about how to play the slap tone, I have lessons, as do many other teachers. When you're online, especially these days, I recommend that you double check on a teacher for any instrument, especially drums, and make sure that the person you're learning from is a professional percussionist. How do you know who's a professional percussionist? They should have a resume that shows that they've performed or played with different artists on percussion, that they've recorded perhaps, or that they have video of themselves doing gigs, you know, whatever it is. Just make sure there's evidence of them being a professional. I only say that because there's lots of well-meaning amateurs that also have lessons available, and while you might learn something, you may learn something that's not quite right. So just seek the highest level of instruction that you can. I consider myself somewhere in the middle, you know, in the journeyman stage. I'm not at the high level of playing congas or djembe, but I have been doing it a long time professionally, and I can give you recommendations if you like to. You can contact me through my website or patreon.com/Kalani for that. All right, now let's move on and focus on some hand percussion instruments. I've got a few items here that I'm excited to share. Let's start with cowbell, shall we? So the cowbell, and I've just got a little cowbell here. Sometimes we want more cowbell, but sometimes we want less cowbell. All right, so this is what I would call a cha-cha bell. What's important in this video right now, though, is that I just want to show you how to basically hold and play the instrument. And this goes for any kind of what we call idiophone, right? Something that you strike where the body of the instrument makes the sound. I'm going to hold the bell like this with the mouth away from me, just in my palm like that, loosely, and I'm going to strike it with a small stick. I've got this circle stick. It's essentially like a half a timbali stick, and I'm going to use the non-painted end of the stick so I don't get paint all over the instrument, and I'm going to strike it on the mouth with the edge of the stick. I know it's kind of hard to see with the background, but I'm using the edge, the shoulder of the stick, and I'm striking the edge of the bell. Let me switch mics. Okay, so hopefully you saw there that I was playing on the back of the bell, the closed end of the bell with the tip of the stick, and then on the mouth or the open end with the side of the stick. Okay, and that goes for any similar instrument. I want to stop right here and give you a note of caution. I do not recommend using full-size sticks in the classroom, especially with younger students. This is a timbali stick, and that stick that I just used is basically half of this. So if you want to get some timbali sticks, you can just cut them down or use something similar. I recommend PEX tubing. If you go on my channel and look up Super Stick, I show you how to make some really durable small sticks made out of, plumbing plastic or polyurethane or something. I don't know what it's made out of, but it's practically indestructible. It's called PEX tubing. There's a whole video on that on the channel as well. But do not give your kids full-size drumsticks because they're not really made, the size is not made for them. And you know, it's like, it's too much. It's weight, it's not, people like can't control it. It's all over the place. So just use short little sticks. Also, don't use lumi sticks or lummy sticks or however you pronounce that. Those are not made for striking instruments. Those are made for just clacking together and using them on each other, right? The smooth one and the serrated one. Use those. Don't use those as drumsticks to play instruments. All right, so that's what we have on cowbell. I'm going to move over to an adjacent instrument, and that is woodblock. I've got a couple types of woodblocks here. So woodblock is the high-pitched block. I've got a couple different styles. I want to show you one. This one, which is by Native Tongue Percussion, is nice because it's got a wooden edge. It's got a plastic like protector right on the edge here on the top. Can you see that right there? So therefore, let me switch back to the appropriate stick. You can strike it. I'm playing gently because of the mic. But that's a nice sound. Same kind of rule. You can play on the edge with the side of the stick, or on the top with the end of the stick. Same thing on this. This is more of a, what we call a legit woodblock. I want to show you on the bottom of this one, there are some holes, and they make woodblock mount stands, like an attachment where you can mount these on a stand and then clip it onto a stand. If you want to do that, that might be something of interest to you. So just keep that in mind if you're shopping for woodblocks. That's a feature you might want to look at or be interested in. I do want to mention also, you want to hit the wood block and all the bells really, with maybe the exception of a bell like this one, this kind of boat-shaped bell. You want to strike all the wood instruments with wood, right? This is a triangle beater, and while we play triangle with it, and maybe, like I said, maybe a scraper, you could use it on a scraper like this Guiro, or some metal bells. Generally speaking, we want to keep the triangle beaters away from all the wood instruments and certainly all the drums. All right, so just be careful if you have triangle beaters, and make sure your students know where, how to use them, when to not use them. All right, that's super important. All right, let's go to another type of instrument now that is kind of a stick, but it's not a stick we use to play other things with, and that is clave. All right, clave or claves are these wooden pegs. They also are called, the clave is it kind of means, peg or dowel. And it's something that's used often in woodworking and construction to hold things together, right? Peg construction. And in musical terms, that carries over, because a lot of people say that the clave is like the key or the cornerstone, the cornerstone, or the head of the arch, the keystone. That's the word I was looking for. The keystone that holds everything together. So that's just a kind of a metaphor. But the clave are two wooden sticks. These are rosewood, and we like the rosewood claves, the hardwood claves. They're very bright and beautiful sounding. You're going to hold one of them, and if you have a matched pair like this, doesn't matter which one. If you have a mismatched pair, you would hold the larger one, usually in your holding hand, and then you've got your playing stick that you're going to use on top. So what I do is I hold part of the stick, part of the bottom clave between my index and thumb, and then the other side is kind of resting on the lower part of my palm down here, supported by my pinky. So it's kind of like that. And there is a space under this. Now I could practically fit the other clave underneath it. So I do have space there. Let me show you on the side view, like that. Right? So I can literally almost fit the other clave in there. So you want to make sure the bottom clave is not down in your palm, right? It's not like that. It's up and it's gently suspended. And then we're going to strike it on the top with the other stick. And again, I'm playing very quietly right now because of the mic. All right, and then of course we play the clave rhythm. Okay, and for a lot of these instruments, I know it seems very basic, but the fact is that as a percussionist, I can guarantee you it does take a little bit of experimentation to get the best sound. What is the best sound? Well, I think for an instrument like this, that is again an idiophone, where the body of the instrument is producing the sound, you want to just search around for the most resonant, clear tone, right? That goes for all these instruments. There's usually a way that you can hold and strike the instrument that'll produce the nicest sound. And of course, music, when taken together as a collection of sounds, the higher quality each sound is, logically, the higher quality the whole thing will be, right? The whole ensemble, whether that's just percussion ensemble or percussion accompaniment, all right? So sound quality is important, and it's also important just to teach the principles of gaining quality sounds to your students, because they may go on to play percussion either in an amateur fashion or a professional fashion, and we certainly want to give them the best chance and the most success, the best chance for success. All right, we're winding down, you guys. We have a few more instruments. We're going to get into shakers right now, and let's start with our favorite kind of tube shaker, most common type of shaker. This would be what we call a tube shaker. It's just a short tube. Lots of variations in shakers, of course. This one is, I'd say, like a medium kind of shaker. So I want to show you this from the side and the front because it's important. The first step is we're going to hold the shaker with our fingers away from us and our thumb pointed back at us. We're going to have our hand, I'm leaning forward a little bit to get in the camera, but our arm is almost going straight up, and we're going to move back and forth like this. And so what I'd like you to try to practice is getting the filling of the shaker to kind of hit the sides of the shaker, so it's, let's call it just, you know, an impact sound, like a loud, forceful sound, and it's tight, right? It's staccato, as opposed to, right? You can hear the difference. So I'm really, I can feel it. I can feel the weight. I can feel the filling hitting the sides when I do this. So that's kind of like phase one of how to learn, learning how to, thank you, learning how to play a shaker groove. And that's what I'm gonna point you in this direction, and hopefully you can keep moving and practice. But a shaker groove is different than just playing a shaker, right? Anybody can pick up a shaker and just, you know, and just shake it. But that's not playing music on a shaker. Playing music on a shaker involves first learning how to control it and how to manipulate it. So that's step one. Let's go back to the side view. Step two is what I call the swishy sound. And that's kind of like, I think it's kind of like the equivalent of ghost notes. When we play a drum, sometimes we play what we could call filler notes or ghost notes or touches. And they're there to kind of keep time, keep the engine moving, you know. They're not necessarily the notes that we hear, but they are there and we do feel them, and they keep the groove, you know, connected. So we've got our main notes, our accent notes, and then we've got our swishy notes, our filler notes. So practice both of those separately, and then we're going to put them together. And I learned this from another percussionist, and I'm gonna lay it on you right now, and that is to use the word cacophony. Yeah, seems counterintuitive, but it's a great word for the accent of the shaker groove, because it's cacophony, 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 a 1E and a 2E and a 3E and a 4E and a 1. And this is where I want you guys to try to head, all right? This is a musical shaker groove, all right? Now we're playing music, not just shaking the shaker and making a shaker sound, right? Yeah, all right, very good, you guys. If you could get to the point where you can just play a shaker groove, that would be amazing, right? Because you can use that. You can just play a shaker and accompany singing. You can accompany your students and provide a nice background rhythm, accompaniment rhythm for them. And you can teach your students how to play the shaker. And isn't that amazing? I think it's awesome. Just playing the shaker is a very simple thing that, you know, because shaker is kind of ubiquitous and there's lots of applications for it. So I would recommend put a little time in. How do you do it? It doesn't matter what kind of shaker you have. You can use anything. I'm going to move on to this one next. But you can, I say, you know, just get a few egg shakers, leave one in your car, all right, not while you're driving, but if you got a minute and you're parked somewhere or you're at a long stoplight or whatever, you got the radio on, play along. Leave one in the kitchen, leave one in the bathroom, all right? Put your time to use, all right. So practice your egg shaker that way, and then this technique goes for all shakers, so it doesn't matter, any kind of shaker. Now let's move on to one that's a little different, and this is called the Caxixi, Caxixi, Caxixi. And there are different iterations of this type of shaker around the world. We most associate this particular version with Brazil, the Afro-Brazilian, African influence. There are West African shakers that are similar to this, but I'm going to just call this the Brazilian Caxixi. And really important, you guys, right away, I want you to hold it by the body like this, just like I'm holding it right here. Not like this, like you're going to grab it, because everybody grabs it like this. Everybody does that. And sometimes there's a single, you know, top. It looks like a handle. It's not. So don't do this, all right? Why? Because you're going to break it. It doesn't sound good. That's not how you play it. That's not how we get the best sound. And you're just going to, this is all going to get broken, and it's going to start falling apart. And then you're going to be sad, all right? So don't be sad. Be glad you watched this video right now, and you learned the way to hold the Caxixi. All right, so we're just going to hold it like this, nice and easy. Now, we can start off with the shaker technique that I just showed you. All right, so we have that sound. You can also get a nice, oh, look at that. Oh, I love it. That is crunchy, you guys. So we can turn the body of the shaker, of the Caxixi, away from us, right? And here's where it gets really good. We can turn it towards us and get upbeats or syncopated beats. Down, down, up, down, down, up, down, down, up, down, down. Now, can you guys get this? This is level 2 stuff I'm showing you. But can you imagine your little students come into your classroom and you pick up the Caxixi and you show them how to hold it correctly, and then you're like, oh my God, my teacher is a genius. All right, so work on that, all right? And now you know how to play the Caxixi, how to not play the Caxixi, super important, because we don't want our instruments getting destroyed in the classroom, no. But more importantly, super musical way to do that. We've got a couple more instruments. Yes, I am going to get to this. Don't worry. Why does he look like me? All right, we're going to cover maracas right now. And I've got a couple versions. There's all kinds of maracas out there, and these are a couple of them. So I've got a little plastic one here. And then this one is more traditional. This is rawhide on a wooden stick. Let's go to the side view. Now, a couple things. Maracas really use what I call the percussive stroke action, right? It's essentially the same action as just striking a drum. So we might have a drumstick, right? We have a drumstick, boom, boom, boom. Put a maraca there, same, all right? So it's still, it can be a drumming action, and that's for playing individual notes and maybe precise rhythms. So if we wanted to, and I know these are mismatched, but that's okay. If we wanted to just do something like da dee da da dee da da dee da 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 da, whatever, some kind of specific rhythm, or just have short notes. Perfect, easy, effective, clean, musical, no problem. All right, now let's move on to another more traditional way of playing the maraca, which would be more, and see, I don't have a name for this, but I'm just going to say it's more of a kind of sideways motion. Where you're moving in and out and slightly to the side. And you can kind of decide how much accent. You know, how you want to use it. This gives us a little more musicality. It's more like the regular shaker, and I think it's kind of interesting, and you can add accents and things and have fun with that. All right, so that would be you're holding it more vertically, but not straight up, kind of at an angle. And then if you wanted to, you could add another maraca and try to do 2. That's maybe getting a little more advanced. But there you go. All right, so maracas. Now, last thing we're going to do in this video is we're going to look at the Guiro. The Guiro is a scraper. This is what we call a concussion instrument because it makes sound by things banging together. Namely, a little stick, and we're going to use a little wooden stick. I'm using a small mallet in this case, but really I like to have like a chopstick, or a lot of Guiros come with little scrapers. This one is a more traditional Cuban style, like a salsa style. It's made from a giant gourd, and it does look like a certain percussionist. It's a relative. All right. And this one has, let me show you the overhead. This one has 2 different sides. Like this is more coarse, and this one is a finer. You see, just a different option. So I'm going to use the finer side, and I want to show you how to hold the Guiro, because I see a lot of people doing this. All right, let's learn a traditional way to do it. Let's learn how we would play it if we were in a salsa band, or if we were in Cuba, or yeah, somewhere where it's played more traditionally. All right, so you're going to hold it like this. And I'm grabbing the back, right? I got these holes here. You don't need the holes. I could hold it without the holes, but the holes make it easy. And then I've got the side I'm going to play kind of pointed down towards the ground and away from me. And then, guess what, you guys? What did I just say about this action? This action is the drumming action. It comes up a lot of places, and we use it. You know, it's not like a whole different instrument. We're repurposing. We're transferring one skill from one instrument to another instrument. So it's the same action, and we're going to strike, we're going to scrape down, all right? Again, I'm going to play softly. Now you can use the tip of the stick, or you can use the side of the stick. That doesn't really matter. That's kind of personal preference. Now I'm going to switch mics so I can really dig into this thing, but let me play the traditional Guiro rhythm, you know, jai, da 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 da, 1, 2, and a da da dee. Let's do it. Overhead view. One, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. All right, you guys. That is exciting, isn't it? Now, if you want to learn exactly how to do what I just did, I do have a video on that. And because we don't have enough time in this video to really get into that, but there's already a video on all these things on the World Drum Club channel. All these things, right? I have videos on all of them separately. But I wanted to just make this video because I do a lot of teaching all over the world, a lot of conferences. I see a lot of music teachers, and you guys need to know this stuff. I want you to know it, and so you can pass this on to your students, all right? So if you'd like to get any more details from me, you can certainly reach me. My email is kalanidas@gmail.com. I have several books, videos, hundreds, in fact, over 1,000 videos on the World Drum Club channel. I also have additional content at patreon.com/Kalani on a myriad of things: percussion, ukulele, Native American style flute, facilitation, therapeutic music. I talk from my perspective as a music therapist, as a music educator, as a music facilitator, lots of things over there. So if you'd like to connect more, you can do that at patreon.com/Kalani. All right, you guys, thanks for hanging out this long. If you're still watching and you've gotten something out of this, please give it a thumbs up, a like, subscribe. Hit the to get notifications, all right? And I'll see you guys in a future lesson. Thanks for watching, and enjoy playing hand percussion with your students and beyond. See you next time.